What is up, everyone? Welcome to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev, and my UK bro from another mom, Cal Monroe. Cal, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to make the day go as quick as possible because it's PS5 Eve for me, which is very exciting.
Woo!
Yeah,
Nice.
finally.
What are your? Do you have your day planned for when you get it? Shipped to your house, and like what outfit you're gonna wear, and how you're gonna arrange everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want it. I mean, I'm just anticipating it coming now. I hope it doesn't come too late in the day because obviously if it came sort of late, then I won't be able to get to play it that much, and I'd rather
True.
like a lot of Sunday to just play it. But yeah, it's coming through Amazon, so I'm hoping it will, come at a nice time. And yeah, it's good because it was meant to come on the 16th, so it's coming quite early, which so I'm very pleased about that. And yeah, just excited to try out some games. Probably gonna get Spider-Man first, and maybe play some of Astro's Playroom as well, because that looks fun. And yeah, just really excited to finally give it a bash.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think of Astro's Playroom because I really dug it. I haven't jumped back in actually. I've been playing a bunch of other stuff, but I do want to actually complete that game because it's so cool. The all the different Easter eggs and like the nods to PlayStation are nuts. So it'd be
Yeah,
cool to get your take on that. Did
yeah.
you? I know when you initially went through the rigmarole and you got your PS5 order placed. You had placed them for family members, or they had placed one. Did they get theirs first, or you ended up getting yours?
So theirs is here now, but it's for my brother who's not getting it for Christmas. So I've had to also be in a house where there is a PS5, which has been quite frustrating. But it's really annoying as well because my one's a digital edition. This was a disc edition. I couldn't even like take whatever one was there and then stick the other one under the tree.
Right.
But yeah, it's I'm just glad I got one. To be honest, it could have been a lot worse, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. So yeah, I'm just glad I actually managed to get one as early as I did.
Yeah, that's true. There's one of the news things we have is about scalpers getting a bunch of pre-orders or like
Yeah,
order secured,
yeah,
and it's frustrating, man. I did run
yeah,
into because you mentioned you have the disc or the discless version, as do
yeah,
I, and I ran to this first issue where I have because I'm a just a very regular person. I keep playing Modern Warfare, a Warzone, and
mhm,
I have the disc version of Modern Warfare, and I wanted to play it on PS5, but then I ended up in a situation where it's like I have this disc, but it
mhm,
doesn't fit into this thing,
yeah,
and I don't know
yeah,
how to. I can't transfer my because I bought it, but I just like that was the first
yeah,
time I was
right,
like, oh,
yeah,
I can't transfer it
yeah,
over, but it's
yeah,
not the end of the world. I'll survive.
no, no, yeah. Um, yeah, no, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, in fact, that's funny you say that because I haven't once really thought I need the disc version. All my games are digital, but they've just announced Lord of the Rings 4K Blu-ray like
Yeah,
remasters, and yeah, so I'm kind of gutted there, but hopefully there's something that would play 4K Blu-ray somewhere in the house that I can take advantage of for that.
Sony should make a line of 4K Blu-ray players that are the same size and they
Yeah,
look just like the PS5 and they just plug right into your
yeah,
PS5 so you can have them right next to each
yeah,
other. Be pretty awesome.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard that they announced those. That's pretty cool. There is stuff like that where it's like maybe I mean I made this choice. I'm in it, so I'm in the digital world. But there is also an argument for if we're stuck now with the PlayStation Store, and there's always been good deals, but now once you're all digital, you're really only stuck. You can only deal with
yeah,
that marketplace as as a way to get
yeah.
games. So it's up to them to
Yep.
keep those same deals going. But if they don't, it's like you're stuck there.
Well, I've never, I was thinking, so I've never sort of used the PlayStation Video thing where you can buy films off the PlayStation Store
Mm.
as well. So, for me, I'm fine with having my game library digital. So maybe if I try the PlayStation Store, hopefully I can have some sort of digital film library as well. But I don't know whether it's that 4K Blu-ray quality because, I
Right.
don't watch many Blu-rays, but, even when you put a Blu-ray on, it always just looks so much better than sort of even just normal HD. So I'm hoping that that's like still an option digitally, but if not, I'll just have to suffer.
Yeah, it's a hard life. Callum, what you been playing?
Yes. So I've been playing quite a lot actually, but the main two games that I've been sort of flitting in between is Dragon Age Inquisition and
Nice.
Devil May Cry 1, the first one in the HD collection.
With Dragon Age, I know you've been going through the journey of playing. Really, it seems like all of them, from the beginning, or at least some of the latest ones. And now you're on Inquisition. How do you feel about that? That's more of a recent release.
Yeah, I actually love Inquisition. I really didn't like the second one at all, but Inquisition is excellent. It's a much more modern day like Western RPG. It's very much checklist stuff. A lot of Well, I wouldn't even say they're repetitive, but I would understand if somebody saw some of the certain cycles as repetitive or whatever. It's absolutely huge. I mean, it's a 80 to 100 hour game, which is like quadruple the size of the first two in terms of like one playthrough. Um, but yeah, it's really great. The environments are like really well made. They're beautiful and they're really varied as well. Like there's lots of different ones, so that sort of helps it seem really like varied and not so repetitive. And also, it has a really cool meta sort of narrative behind why you're doing everything. So that kind of helps sort of make it a bit more addictive. And yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm playing it on PC and it's a little bit buggy, I think, mostly because it's in Frostbite engine.
Mm.
Um, but it's a really, really great game and I'm really, really enjoying it. And it's actually Dragon Age Day today, I think, or yesterday or something. So obviously we'll talk about that later. But yeah, no, I've been loving Inquisition. Pleasantly surprised, especially after really not enjoying the second one as well.
Yeah, this is one that, and it's on sale for very cheap now too. Like for the past few
Mm.
years, I've always meant to jump in, and I actually think I own it. That's the case with a lot of games. I have it, but it's
Yeah,
just a matter of getting to it. But yeah, it looks
yeah.
really cool, and I imagine it seems approachable for newbies, right? Would you say that it seems like you can jump in and play without getting
Um,
too confused?
I would say it's more approachable than Origins because Origins is a very, this is like pre-EA. It's a proper RPG, quite, hardcore in a way. Well, not hardcore, but just, I don't know, it has that kind of slow pace and it's a lot of, it's like just a proper RPG. Whereas Inquisition is, a bit more similar to maybe, I don't know, like maybe even like the new Assassin's Creeds, and but it's party based, obviously. So I'd say it's maybe more approachable. I mean, story wise, there's still tons of lore, so it doesn't really matter if you haven't played the first two. But it definitely follows on in a lot of ways from the first two. So I would recommend just experiencing them all. But yeah, because it is a lot more modern, a lot more I suppose commercialized, which some might see as a bad
Mm,
thing. It is probably a little bit more approachable to sort of other people.
gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to such a lengthy game now.
Yeah,
We're on the eve of Cyberpunk. Like I'm kind of clearing
yeah,
my schedule for that game,
yeah,
but yeah, this is one
yeah,
that I'm interested in, and I'm also really
yeah.
stoked to see what they finally reveal for Dragon Age 4, which is the next one. They keep
Mm,
showing little
yeah,
like not teasers for, but kind of like early production stuff. So I'm hoping we get
yeah,
a legit trailer or something at the Game Awards.
mhm,
That's one of our stories here, but yeah.
yeah.
What else have you been playing?
So yeah, I've been playing Devil May Cry, the first one. Never
Ooh,
really a
yeah.
game series I got into. And yeah, the HD collection's been on PS now, but it's the PS3 version. So it
Okay.
sort of entered my mind through there, but I actually bought it on PS4 because it was on sale for £20. So I thought it comes with Devil May Cry 4, I think, as well. Um, so yeah, I've been playing that and really, really enjoying it. I've been reading up a lot about the hardest difficulty, which I'm not on because I think you have to complete it twice to unlock. But
Jeez.
I've been reading about that and just hearing how hard it can be sort of makes me quite scared of playing it. But on normal, it's actually very doable so far, and it's a lot of fun. Very Resident Evil, very Japanese, very cringe in all the right places, and yeah, really excited and hoping to sort of eventually be able to play the fifth one on PS5 once I've done all the others because that looks so good as well.
Right. Yeah, how do you feel about the combat? I know the gameplay is really tough, but it's not like Demon Souls tough. It's just really challenging. But how do you feel about? Do you get that bug where you want to try it on these harder difficulties as you master the just the
Um,
regular
I
gameplay loop?
mean, yeah, I mean it's really really good fun even for how old it is as well. I it's because it is a bit aged, it's quite hard to maybe understand what all the combos are and like when to use them and things like that. And so far on normal, I haven't really had much trouble with anything. There's been a couple of times where I've had to sort of have a few goes at a boss or something just to sort of get to know what they do. But um, I can definitely see how deep it is and how deep you have to go to be able to play it on. If the enemies hit harder and attack more frequently. But yeah, on normal, I'm finding it quite approachable and sort of doable. But yeah, it's allegedly a very, very deep mechanical game that you have to just know back to front if you're to do it on the hard difficulty, which I probably won't get into just because I want to complete all of them and then play 5. So maybe if I want to go back at some point, but at the moment I just want to complete them in order and know the story and the characters for the 5th game.
Gotcha. Yeah, this I know people love this franchise, and it seems really nuts and wacky, but in a good way. You mentioned it has that Japanese, it really leans hard into just the weirdness and the kind of cringe, but yeah, it looks really cool, and I've just never gotten to these, but nice.
Yeah. One of the like opening cinematics is just like the most random, like it's like a montage of like flames in the background, and some demon doing like martial art kicks towards the camera, and it's just like, and it's just that kind of thing. It's just really like stupid, but just like lovable as well. And I mean, the game has really good atmosphere and ambience. I mean, it is very Resident Evil, obviously, and it's even with some of the music and just the general atmosphere. But yeah, it's basically like a complete mixture of God of War and Resident Evil, and it's just a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to sort of see how it evolves and goes into its own more as the series progresses.
Yeah, that's cool. You have me sold at that demon doing karate kicks at the camera. Yeah, it's a common thing, but like there's a lot of games Japanese games that will kind of like interpret like American characters and kind of just go with like, here's what we think, like what like a Hollywood American movie would be, and it's really dope because it's their interpretation of it, and it gets really wacky. Yeah. But I wonder, do you see the opposite? Where do you see like American games trying to interpret like a Japanese audience or movie and try and do that? But I guess they might do it, but they don't succeed like the way that the Japanese do America. Like they just get us.
It is. There's just something so just weird about the sort of cringiness that some of these games bring, but it's just so enjoyable. It's just so fun, and but you can tell when something's cringe because it's bad, and you can tell when something's cringe just because that's what they're sort of going for. Right. And yeah, it's really, really great. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see how, because at the moment it is very Resident Evil-esque, and you can see there's a lot of inspiration there. But so I'm excited to see how it sort of evolves into its sort of own thing as well. And hopefully it doesn't get too hard, because I'm not very good at games anymore.
Yeah, same here. Been playing through Tsushima, and I had to toggle, I guess just because I wanted to have, I don't know, maybe more fun or something, but I would toggle between the super baby mode and then the regular, and then dip somewhat into the hard and then go right back to like normal and easy. But lately it's like I want to kind of just complete it, so I will adjust the difficulty there. But been playing anything else?
I played a little bit of Doom on PC. I only played it sort of for one sitting and then put it down. But I really liked what I played. It's really good fun.
Now, did you get the because it's on Game Pass for PC, right?
It's on Game Pass for Xbox, actually. Yeah, but it was on sale on Steam for £4, so I just got it on there and played maybe a couple of hours. And yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to get back to it soon. It seems like a Doom game, and I can sort of see the things I didn't like about Eternal. I could see them in there sort of a bit more in their infancy in the first game, so I can see Doom Eternal maybe being more attractive to me after I play the first game.
I know Eternal it's also Game Pass on console, and I want to say very soon it comes to PC as well. I wonder if you jump into that, if it's on Game Pass, try it and see if it's changed since that version you played at Gamescom, and maybe or
Yeah.
they, the full version is just really not what you're into. But I'd be interested to see
Hmm.
playing that final Doom Eternal release, seeing what you think, because I love Doom Eternal. I love the
Yeah.
last one as well, but they
Yeah.
just nailed it with the combat for me.
Yeah, I will definitely play it, and yeah, I think the reason I didn't like Eternal when I first played it was because it wasn't what I expected. And now playing 2016 Doom, I can see that it still has those things I didn't like, but they're a lot more contrived. They're not as exaggerated, like the having to completely balance the way you kill enemies so you get your health and your different ammos and everything. It's in there, just not as focused on. Whereas in Eternal, they really focused on it, and I can see that being like an okay progression for people who have played the first one, like a fine thing. Whereas for me, who hadn't played the first one, I just didn't expect it and therefore didn't like it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that's interesting because I came in with the first one already understanding that a little bit. And then you're right. They do really rely on you managing that, like actually how you combat the enemies
Yeah.
is how you gain ammo
Yeah.
and health and etc. But
Yeah.
yeah, I loved it. There's DLC for it too that I need to finish, but man, I love this game.
Yeah.
Nice. As far as what I've been playing, I finally got to beat Tsushima, and I waited for a while because I was getting closer to the end, or at least like the first third I completed on PS4, but I wanted to wait to try it on PS5 and finished it over the weekend. Man, that game is really, really good, and I'm mad that I waited so long but I guess I'm happy that I got to play the PS5 just like that version straight away, because it's almost like a next gen version playing on PS5. It's pretty nuts with the 60 frame per second mode, and I want to say they do something to the resolution if that just naturally improves it because it looks better too. It's not just performing better.
Yeah.
I feel like everything is just
Yeah.
more clear and crisp. But yeah, man, what a game! And finally finishing, rolling credits. I love the story too, and I guess I'm still, because we talked last week about how we thought about Jin's character being nominated for Game Awards for Performance of the Year, and I think I love his buddy. I forget her name now, but she's with you
Yuna,
along.
I think it
Yeah,
is.
Yuna.
I think it's, yeah.
I think I loved her story the most compared to everybody. I thought her journey was really, really interesting, and it was just I think she maybe performed. She had more to perform with. I don't know, but I think I dug it a bit more. Her character in general. But man, that game is, really good.
I love is it Shoto Khan as well, the sort of main villain.
Yes.
Because the guy who plays him is he's in Night of the Museum, and he plays Genghis Khan in Night of the Museum.
Oh,
So
really?
it's quite funny that they're like playing like a same sort of like lineage kind of character. But I thought he was amazing as well. I thought he would like, especially at the beginning when you first meet him, and he's just he's a very fearful villain. Like he really does make you feel like he's very powerful, and then when you finally get to the end and you get to fight him, it's just a really great tension build. And yeah, I think they nailed all the characters, and I think like I don't think the general like story, especially like the side quests and things, I think they were fairly generic at times, but I think just the characters themselves and their sort of personal little stories, like Sensei Ishikawa and everything, I think that's what carried it in a narrative sense, and the gameplay just speaks for itself. But yeah, I'm glad you finally beat it, and will you be going for the platinum, do you reckon?
I don't know, man. This one, there's so much to do in this game. Even for the finishing the story, like there's still, I don't know, a good 50% of extra stuff that I need to do, and I just don't know if I have the energy to do it. But it's really fun. I love the combat too. I love just blocking at the right time and attacking, and man, they just really nailed it. And I think it should be up there for those Game of the Year awards. I don't know if I would say it's my Game of the Year, but I think I really, really enjoyed it. And loving it. I don't know if I will try the various game modes, because I want to say there's like a super hard mode that you can unlock as well, and then just like the game plus. But it's possible I'll jump back into it. But
and the I can't remember what it's called now, the strange multiplayer.
Oh, the Legends, right? Yeah.
Component. Yeah, Legends. Yeah, Legends is cool as well. It's got a fun little mode, but it's got a really cool like just general multiplayer sort of system to it. But the actual missions themselves, I thought were a bit boring. But it's really fun, like unlocking stuff and leveling up and things. But it's definitely worth checking out, and I'm sure it'll look really cool on PS5 as well.
Yeah, I kept thinking as I'm playing the game. There are times that pull you out of it just slightly, where because this game is on the level of, say, like the Last of Us 2 for everything else, but when it comes to like those mini cutscenes where they kind of I wish that they would kind of more naturally flow you into them, but it's more of a standard like game where you kind of just like lock in and you're talking to the character, almost like Fallout or something. I would love them to try and maybe link up with Naughty Dog or something and try more of a seamless like integration into how you talk to people and when you get your quests. I feel like just like Red Dead 2 did that recently, where you would just naturally start talking to a character and they would kind of switch over and not really change the cameras very, very much. I would love something like that just to make me feel more, just bring that cinematic level on par with everything else. But it just makes me way more excited for what they do with the sequel, because I think they're going to learn, they're going to adjust, and they have everything else on point. But if they can kind of modify the story and how they deliver the story a little bit, I think this next one will be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and you're right. It's really exciting because we've got a lot of these first games that are very different to what these studios have done. So Ghost of Tsushima with Sucker Punch, and Days Gone at Bend, and even Horizon with Guerrilla. And I mean, all three of those games, they're all amazing, but they all have those initial problems, or those sort of initial like choices that maybe could have been a bit better, but it's all hindsight, so that you can't really take anything away from them. But so I think their sequels, I mean, it's like Uncharted. You got Uncharted 1 that came out, and then when the second one came out, they were able to just make it so much like a completely different game. And that's what you have to expect with, Days Gone 2, Ghost of Tsushima, the second game, and the Horizon game that's obviously going to be coming. So, it's really exciting when you see new franchises like this open up, and they're all, I mean, I think all three of those games are expecting sequels. So, it's really, really exciting, and it's going to be a good sort of few years for games.
Oh yeah, for sure. Their single player games are just juggernauts every time they come out. So yeah, got to finish that. That was really it for me for this week. Platinumed Spider-Man as well, Miles Morales. Yeah, and that one was not easy to platinum. I mean, it was actually pretty easy, but just the desire to platinum it was right there. Once I beat it, I was like, I want to just finish everything, and it was really fun. Really fun unlocking all the different...
Does it give you an itch, like seeing, that 100% and seeing all the lesser percents? Does that not give you some sort of... You're not embarrassed?
It does. Oh, I'm always embarrassed just in life, but it gives me a little bit of that itch. And then I look at all the games, and even the games I've completed story-wise and like how much I have left to do, and I just go, no, I'm not going to fucking do that. I don't care enough. But there's just a few games that, because they have to match the desire to also how much is left to do. Sure. And if I want to just like trudge through it. But with Miles, it was super easy to put a podcast on and just swing around and complete all this stuff. And I really, really dug that game.
Yeah, I suppose it's easier to do it on PS5 as well, because it's sort of that, you're still in that honeymoon period where you just want to play everything on it. And I'm really, really excited. The only thing that's sort of worrying me is how many games there are to choose from. Like, I mean, as you know, I'm playing Dragon Age now, so I'm hoping to get that done. Well, I mean, it won't be done by tomorrow, but hoping to still find time to play that. And I've been playing Devil May Cry, which I'm keen to play on my PS5. And Demon Souls, Astro's Playroom, Bug Snacks, which has been getting a lot of good positivity about it. And
I did play that. I forgot about that.
Games.
I got to try. Yeah, so I played the first about 2 hours, and it's really neat. I didn't realize how far they're going into the direction of like Pokemon Snap back in the day, where you're trying to get these Bug Snacks characters to eat each other or get like trap them so that you can feed them to the townspeople for some reason. And the way you do it is you'll try and like have them interact with the world in a way that Pokemon Snap did, but you can just kind of fully walk around, and it's just really cool, really wacky and cute, and I really dig it. I was surprised how much I would like it before I tried it, but the writing's really good. The characters are really funny. I think that's also the strong suit, is just the writing itself. It keeps you wanting to talk to all the different villagers and unlock some kind of weird event.
I think I'm gonna have to like develop some sort of system, like 2 games at a time on the PS5 or something. Like, I think I think
Yeah.
Astro's Playroom definitely I want to play, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And they're both, I'd imagine, quite short games. So I want to get. I think once I got those two out of the way, I can look at getting Demon Souls and maybe Assassin's Creed. And but that's the thing. I mean, both of them are massive games. It's going to be
Right.
it's just building even more of a backlog now, which is annoying. But yeah.
Well, I think as we go into 2021, there isn't anything crazy announced for this first, quarter one, quarter two, these first couple months. So I feel like we're gonna have a lot of time to dip into this initial
True, yeah.
bundle of games that's released, because I don't think there's anything crazy
Yeah.
on the docket for the time being. I think at the
Yeah.
Game Awards, we will see some announcements, but I don't know if they'll
Mm.
come to fruition, but I think we're gonna have some time to play these.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Game Awards, which obviously I imagine we'll get into later. But yeah, like you said, it's gonna really sort of flesh out what's coming, hopefully. And um, but yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, you sort of see so many people knocking the launch library for these consoles, but I can't remember a console coming out and me being so over encumbered with games. I mean, I haven't even mentioned like Sackboy,
Mm-hmm.
or sort of loads of other games that I could also sort of delve into. So, yeah, so I think the launch library is great, and yeah, I just need it now. I need my PS5 now.
Yeah, I hear you, Callum. Well, it's close. You're getting close to it. Um, we can get into some of the news articles we got going on. So yeah, we didn't do last week, so we got kind of a backlog, not only of games, but also of some news articles here. So we got the first one. First one is just some good news for PlayStation. So we got PS5 is the biggest console launch in history. This is James Batcher of GamesIndustry.biz. The PlayStation 5 has outsold its forebear in the first 2 weeks, making it not only the biggest PlayStation launch, but the biggest console launch of all time. The official PlayStation Twitter account confirmed the next-gen console had surpassed the initial sales of PlayStation 4, although the company has yet to share official sales figures. Back in 2013, PlayStation's then CEO Andrew Howe said the PS4 had sold 2.1 million units in just over 2 weeks, declaring it an impressive and record-setting accomplishment for our company and for our industry. Sony expects its next-gen console to outperform its predecessor by the end of the current fiscal year. PS4 sold 7.6 million units during the comparable period. And then Sony tweeted when they made that initial announcement, demand for the PS5 is unprecedented, so we wanted to confirm that more PS5 inventory will be coming out to retailers before the end of the year. Please stay in touch with your local retailers. Callum, how do you feel about this news? I feel like we've been it already feels like the PS5 has been selling and there's so much hype, and now we've got some confirmation that it's doing really well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's just been absolute madness. I mean, not just with the PS5, with the Xbox and the new graphics cards and everything. It's just, I mean, it's going to be a huge lesson for, all these companies to learn from. I mean, I know COVID is a valid excuse in some ways for the amount and the production, but more for the online retailers just completely dropping the ball and just not putting enough effort into what is clearly going to be a huge, huge launch. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. It has been just utter madness. I don't think I've seen stock of PS5s be in for like more than 10 minutes anywhere. So yeah, it is just complete and utter madness. But yeah, it's impressive. I mean, it's impressive that it outsold the PS2 as well at launch, because I remember that being a similar story where it was really hard to get them
Mm,
at launch because everybody wanted themselves a cheap DVD player. But yeah, impressive, and I'm thankful that I was able to contribute to it, because I know lots of people
right.
haven't been able to.
Do you think that the success of the PS5, at least out of the gate, is a testament to how they handled the marketing by withholding all that information in the updates versus Xbox like revealing stuff a lot early on? Do you think it's that, or was it just so much hype for the next PlayStation that no matter what, people were gonna jump into it?
Yeah, I think it was always going to outsell everything. I mean, the PS4 has just unquestionably dominated that market, and whether or not you subjectively prefer one or the other, the PS5, the PlayStation ecosystem has got its hooks in a lot more people. And yeah, so I think it was always going to be big, but yeah, maybe um, their sort of suspense building strategy of marketing may have just hyped people beyond belief, um, and now caused this. So yeah, it could be sort of a little bit of both, but yeah, either way, it's brilliant.
Nice. Yep. Good news. Let's talk about something the PS5 can't do, but the Xbox can apparently. So this is the PS5 can't play PS2 games, but the Xbox Series X can. This is Ian Carlos Campbell of TheVerge.com. Developers have now made it possible to emulate PS2 games on the Xbox Series X and S using the RetroArch emulator, something that the PlayStation 5, a successor to the PS2, can't. Thanks to the Xbox Series X/S console's developer mode, the emulation software can be added as a universal Windows application, allowing users to download a retail version of the emulation software directly to their console without tricky workarounds. While RetroArch is able to emulate several different consoles, the compatibility for running PS2 games is particularly notable because of how limited Sony's PS5 is when it comes to Xbox, or when it comes to backwards compatibility compared to the Xbox. So there's this video going around, and it's a well-known YouTuber showing you how to enable this mode, and it's just something within your Xbox called developer mode. For $20 in the US, you get this this digital right to then download other applications to your Xbox, and one of them is emulation software, and you can play really anything, but also PS2 games.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Callum?
Yeah, it's cool. It's I mean that's the good thing about Xbox. Sharing a platform with Windows. You can get you can break them open very easily, especially if there's a developer mode on it. So yeah, it's very cool. Obviously, because the games I saw shown on it, which everyone was sort of making a big sort of cry about, was Silent Hill 2 and the God of War games. But I mean, don't forget you can get both of these on PlayStation 4 and 5 as well via PS Now, and
right.
They've Sony have done some work to bring these PS2 games digitally to the store. Games like Max Payne, Bully. There's lots and lots of PS2 games there that I don't think people realise are there because they haven't been given like a remaster. They're just re-released in digital format on the PlayStation Store. But I mean, yeah, it's really cool that you can get these like third-party things on your Xbox and be able to emulate different consoles. It's exciting. It's showing what this new tech can do, and it shows the power of these machines. Because emulating games even from the PS2 era is not easy. It's taxing, and so it's impressive that the consoles can do that.
Now, the fact that the Xbox can handle emulating this stuff and it's just a software issue, do you think there's any excuse now for PlayStation to not support something like this? Like, what if they, at least with the disc models of the PS5, you put in your PlayStation 2 disc, it reads that it's that disc, and then just downloads emulation and plays that version of it? Why have they not proceeded this route? I know they have the PS Now version of it, but why not unlock this for players?
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating that this can't be done, but I mean, I don't know, it's hard for me because I don't personally, I don't feel like there are any PS2 games that I yearn to play that haven't already been given remastered or aren't already on the PlayStation Store. I don't think there's many that have been stranded there. I think it's more PS3 that needs to be mostly focused on, because those are the places where things are truly stranded. And but yeah, you're right. I mean, if why couldn't they just create their own official thing? I mean, it is a valid question, and this is just proof that even if it is third party, emulation software does exist. It's clearly a possibility. So yeah, it is a valid question.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like they're leaving good graces on the table, because Xbox has focused on this, and now they can say, the full library is available. You just pop in your disc or you download through the marketplace. It seems like it's possible for PlayStation to do that as well, but they'd rather route people through PlayStation Now and other services. But it'd just be an easy kind of win for them to unlock this or add this feature and let people play their PS2 games. And I think 90% of people aren't going to do it, but the fact that they can say it, that's how Xbox also gets in good graces with gamers, because they have that option for people to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely I suppose a vision, differing visions with the two companies as well. I think Xbox are going for that accessibility,
right,
and PlayStation are just going for that sort of finesse on everything they do, which again, I can't speak from experience. I don't have any of the next gen consoles, but from what I've seen as well, the Xbox, obviously being the much more powerful console on paper, is being outperformed in most cases by the PS5. Which, is that because Xbox has to be on this very well-rounded, what's the word, sort of not as bespoke sort of system, whereas the PlayStation 5 is a very bespoke single engineered thing that can only do what it's made to do. So, is this sort of attention on making it open to everything actually restricting the Xbox in what it can do when it really matters? Because that is something that I'm sure will sort itself out as devs develop for it more. But is that why Xbox has had this sort of slightly shaky start when compared to performance with the PS5?
Yeah, it is interesting because really Xbox kind of they're in a place where they have to do this kind of stuff because it just helps them out visually with the optics with consumers. But PlayStation really can focus on just kind of going with the future, and they're doing just fine with that route. But yeah, it's interesting, and of course people online were just lighting them up the fact that the Xbox can play PS2 games and everything. But
yeah.
And apparently this is a feature that's not just on these next-gen consoles, but the Xbox One and the One X, also the One S, they had this developer mode already. So it's been something that's been around for a while, but it just kind of got into the news. Yeah. But yeah, Calum, so we got the next one here. Is some good news for the Last of Us 2 series coming to HBO. Last of Us 2 HBO series gets the green light. This is Joseph Knoop of IGN. I have wrote that again. HBO has officially ordered a series based on the Last of Us video game franchise. HBO Executive Vice President of Programming Francesca Ori announced last week through a series based on The Last of Us had been in discussion for some time now. Friday's announcement reconfirms HBO's intent on the show and attaches a few key names to the project. Writing the series are The Last of Us creative director Neil Druckmann and Chernobyl writer Craig Mazin. Druckmann will also be executive producing the series alongside Charles Strauss, who wrote or worked on Chernobyl and Game of Thrones, as well as Naughty Dog president Evan Wells and PlayStation Productions. We're getting closer to this thing, being reality. How do you feel about them making a Last of Us series?
I think I was fairly not negative, but I think I was sort of not. I don't know. I wasn't too wholly positive of it at first, but I don't know. The more I've sort of thought about it, I think it is quite an important thing to do because there are lots of people who don't play games, and Last of Us is such a good story and such a good idea that it does deserve to be shared, in other mediums where people sort of do exclusively sit. So, lots of people don't play games, but they'll watch TV shows. So there's a way for them to get that story ingested. And if you look at who's working on it, I think it's in good hands, and I think we should expect something pretty good.
Yeah, it's a interesting world that they've created and it's also with it's years in between, 8 years until we get, these Last of Us games. And I don't think we need to keep making them necessarily because they have their idea, their vision for the story, and it's complete. With the show, they can kind of offshoot and just dig into more other story aspects and not have to follow Joel and Ellie around. I think apparently they will focus on that somewhat in the series from what they've announced, but there's so many different stories they can tell, but still dig into that world and keep fans happy and not have the issues of, like people just like trashing every release as they come to love one thing, and then the sequels will always pale in comparison to fans or to nerds online. But yeah, I feel like this is just a great way to just keep mining this crazy story that they've made.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it is just a retelling of the first game story. But then, and even then, again, it's a story that deserves to be told to people who don't play games because it is a great story and it does deserve to be shared with everybody, even those who only consume their sort of creative stuff through TV and film.
And also the fact that Druckmann's involved writing it is a great sign. They have PlayStation Productions on board, Naughty Dog in general, and then you have Craig Mazin, who is the writer for Chernobyl. And I don't know if you got to watch that. That was a series that premiered maybe late last year on HBO. Man, that show was so good and just so. I think it matched the tone perfectly with something like The Last of Us, where it was dark and serious, but just like um, super interesting, and you couldn't kind of look away, even though it was a rough story they had to tell. But so I think they've
Yeah,
matched this perfectly, and they have the people involved, so it's going to carry. It's not like they handed it off to just a completely different party.
yeah.
So we got that. You know what? Also on the docket is some news about Neil Druckmann himself. So we got Druckmann for Prez. This is gamesindustry.biz. Last of Us Part 2 creative director and Naughty Dog vice president Neil Druckmann has been given a promotion and will now serve as president of the studio alongside Evan Wells. Druckmann has been in the vice president role for nearly 3 years, following a 2018 promotion, and has been creative director on both The Last of Us and its recent release sequel, as well as worked on the Uncharted and Jak and Daxter IPs. He's been with Naughty Dog since 2004. This is pretty great news for Druckmann. He's just moving up the ladder. How do you feel about this, Cal?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously well deserved. I think it's always good when you see big positions like this filled internally as well by somebody who clearly knows the studio so well, knows how it functions, been there for a long, long time. And yeah, he's obviously got big pedigree. So for him to not just overlook his project, but to overlook everything the studio does, I think is a very positive thing for the future.
Do you think there's any chance they go back now to Jak and Daxter with how serious everything is and story focused and Druckmann, at the helm? Do you think there's any chance of going to something wacky like Jak and Daxter again?
I mean, I love Jak and Daxter, but I can't see Naughty Dog ever working on that again. I think if it was to come back, it would have to go to a different studio or something. I just don't think they have. Yeah, not that they're like above it. I just think they've gone down such a vastly different direction in terms of style and the kind of games they make, and even the engine they use. I think it would just be, yeah, the wrong, and that's coming from a huge Jak and Daxter fan. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see another Jak and Daxter, but yeah, just not from Naughty Dog.
Right. Gotcha. So we're talking about games becoming shows, becoming movies. We got this next one here. This news dropped yesterday. Metal Gear Solid movie reportedly picks up Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake. This is Liam Croft at PushSquare.com. This is the first time we've written about Metal Gear Solid movie, the Metal Gear Solid movie that Sony is supposed to be making since March 2015, which should tell you all you need to know about the project. Essentially, it's in the very same position 2021's Uncharted big screen adaptation was in a few years back. However, there appears to be a big breakthrough as Deadline reports the project has been picked up and Oscar Isaac is going to play Solid Snake. The Star Wars actor will join director Jordan Vogt Roberts as the film begins production at Sony's Pictures. This adaptation is said to be based on the 1998 original game from the PlayStation 1 era, with Derek Connolly writing the script. Previous work, including Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Avi Arad has signed up as the producer. Callum, how do you feel about getting closer to some kind of Metal Gear Solid movie and Oscar Isaac playing Solid Snake?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly indifferent about the whole thing just because I've never been a Metal Gear Solid fan. Not that I dislike it, I just never got into the games. But I think Oscar Isaac seems like a really good fit visually. I think he's a great actor as well, so I think that fans should be relatively happy about that in terms of casting. But yeah, I mean, it's another really well considered story. Another one that's maybe locked behind the fact that the original game's on PS1, so again, it's meant to be a very complicated and multi-layered narrative sort of base game. So to make a movie about it, maybe again it's another way for getting that story out there to the people who haven't experienced it before.
There's no word, as far as I know, of Kojima being involved. I'm not sure if he's given his good graces on the project itself, but do you think he needs to be involved? Is there just enough understanding of the world to adapt this to a movie and still like honor his vision too at the same time?
Mm-hmm. I think the game's been out, and obviously there's a lot of source material now as well, but I think it's been out for long enough that these people who are likely writing it, they could be big fans of it. They could, because coming out in 1998, some of these people who are maybe writing it or making this movie, maybe back then they weren't in the industry, they were just enjoying games, and so I think it's a good sort of age for a game to turn into a movie. But whether or not that movie's going to work out and actually be good, that's down to the people creating it. So, but I think if it's written well and it tells a story well, then I don't see why this couldn't be a good success. Again, Oscar Isaac's a great actor. He's got a lot of pedigree, and Just looking at what Snake looks like, I think he could be a good fit.
Yeah, I'm also excited for anytime you know an actor like really wants to play the role. So there's a bunch of stuff going out online, especially when this news came out, of Oscar Isaac in various interviews, like promoting other movies, and them asking
Mm.
him, "What do you want to do? What do you want to play?" And he's always like, "Snake. I want to play Solid Snake in a movie for
Nice,
years
yeah,
now." So the
yeah,
fact that he's
yeah,
super crunk to play this character, and then you
yeah.
have the director who's been talking about trying to get this project for a while and being a fan of it, it just makes me
Mm.
hopeful that they're really gonna try and produce something that is close to that close to the game
Yeah,
experience, but also leading into that movie side of it. That's the thing. The Metal Gear games themselves are basically little movies because they have so many
mm.
cutscenes and story elements
Yeah,
where it's like you could just chop those up and probably put it on the screen and then just charge people for it. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
everyone
just
involved really
Oscar
loves these
Isaac's
games.
face.
Yeah, just CGI him in there.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm super excited for this. This is good news, and I love Oscar Isaac. He's awesome.
yeah, he's great.
Now, Callum, this next one I don't know much about, so I'm going to lean on you for this. Persona 5 Strikers Western release date leaked, coming to PS4, Switch, and PC. This is Jordan Alleman of IGN. Persona 5 Strikers will launch on February 23rd, 2021 for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. According to a leaked trailer, an unlisted YouTube video revealed the news, which was spotted by Wiro64 on Twitter and rehosted by Gumatsu in a new report. The trailer summarizes the story of the game and shows off some slick footage of the combat, featuring fan favorites like Morgana and Ryuji, equipping their way through proceedings. We also get a glimpse at some of the bosses from Strikers before a title card reveals the release date and platforms for the Persona 5 spin-off, which launched in Japan on February 20th earlier this year under the title Persona 5 Scramble: The Phantom Strikers. Were you super stoked for this news, Cam? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm so excited. This is one of my most sort of anticipated games. So I love like Dynasty Warriors, one of my just all-time favorite game series. And this is basically Persona Dynasty Warriors, so that's perfect for me. And yeah, I mean, just watching the trailer, the trailer that's talked about there, I'm just seeing these characters again. It has some sort of story which I'm sure will be great because it's obviously Atlas, and I just think this is going to be brilliant. I'm really really excited for it, and I'm glad it's finally been announced because I think it's been out in Japan for quite a while now. Um, yeah, really 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 excited for this one.
Nice. And so yeah, I didn't realize that the combat is different. So I assume this was like another
Mhm.
like special edition release of the same one, but
Yeah.
they're going for a different style.
Mhm.
Do you have any hesitation with them following this different route that's kind of not the same gameplay of the original games?
Not really, because I think it is a spin-off, so I think they'll be forgiven for trying a different method or something. Um, and yeah, I think 'cause, I mean Hyrule Warriors has just come out as well, hasn't it? Which is like a sort of Muso kind of Warriors game. So I think people love these kind of games, and I think to even Dynasty Warriors. Well, I say even Dynasty Warriors, it's well known. Dynasty Warriors is very unpolished and slightly repetitive and just doesn't
Yeah.
have that A-star quality. Whereas Atlas, are proven AAA amazing developers. So I'm just really excited to see what they do. And like I said, these characters are really really great characters, and just to see them again with a new story and this really really fun engaging style of fighting, and they've got lots of boss fights and things. I think it's going to be a really, really great game, and yeah, can't wait to play
Nice. Yeah, I saw that and I thought, you know what, Callum's gonna nerd out over that news, and I don't know what they're talking to me about. All right, Callum's.
it.
Our next one here is Sony making a PS5 VR headset with haptic feedback. This is letsgodigital.com. In the background, Sony seemed to be working on the development of a new PSVR headset. A recently published patent may give us more insight into Sony's plans for this virtual headset. We have the patent here up on the docket too. The patent entitled Pressure Sensing to Identify Fitness and Comfort of Virtual Reality Headset was filed in mid-2016 by Sony Interactive Entertainment. The patent was granted on November 24th, 2020. The inventor of this technology is Stephen Osman, head of PlayStation Magic Magic Lab, and principal software engineer at Sony Interactive Entertainment. The patent is aimed at promoting the wearing comfort of VR/AR headsets. The patent images show a significantly lighter headset than the existing PlayStation VR. Two models are shown, one with headband, the other looks like glasses. In addition, the documentation mentions the addition of light emitting diodes and haptic feedback generators. These are intended for purposes to be disclosed soon, according to the patent description. However, it is a utility patent and not a design patent, i.e., it concerns the patent technology. The design can still change. Callum, how do you feel about, some news about a possible PSVR? This is just a patent, but them going into looking into the sequel and adding this haptic feedback nature from the DualSense into this next VR.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, the one on the left looks a lot like the Microsoft HoloLens, which again is technology that is there, but for some reason hasn't quite broken through yet. Which, Microsoft have touted several times that these kind of things will replace mobile phones eventually. So it's cool to see that they're going down that sort of lightweight, easy to sort of manage kind of thing. But yes, I mean, I think any news about PSVR 2 is pretty exciting, and hopefully there'll be sort of more concrete about it.
Now, I had some questions for you, just thoughts about what do you think about the future of PSVR? When do you think we get our first PSVR 2 announcement?
Really don't know. I think it could be as early as the Game Awards, honestly. But it could be as late as end of next year, I think. I mean, they'd have to say something about it, because they haven't even really talked about PSVR, the first one with PS5. So, I mean, I really don't know. I think it's very difficult to anticipate when it's coming, but I think it could be, not to sit on the fence, but I think it could be as soon as, next week, and it could be as late as a year or so.
Yeah, it's interesting where they want to kind of still sell out through this initial stock, but give people a glimpse on what to expect for the future. So, and it's been with PSVR, I forget the actual launch date, but I want to say it's been around for at least 3 years. Maybe four pushed it, but it's been around for a while now.
Yeah, and I think maybe they're just sitting back seeing what the competition's doing. Oculus just released their Quest 2 for a really great price as well. So
yeah,
and they're probably just having a look at the market, because I mean, VR, I know it's been around for a while, but it's still not a very dominated market. There's only I suppose it's similar to games consoles. So I think Sony are going to have to watch the space, especially in terms of pricing, and just see what their next move is. So that's why I think that it could be a while until we hear something, because there's still a lot of things that they probably want to look at and consider and see how they work.
Yeah, you mentioned Oculus. That was one of my questions as well, or thoughts was, should they lean into that idea, the same idea with Oculus, where that works standalone? That can work with your phone or just on the device itself. You can download games straight to the device. You don't have to plug it in, and then you have that option to play games off of a PC with the Oculus. Should they try that with PSVR and just kind of go, with these two different ways to play, or just have it be stuck to the PlayStation?
Yeah, I think the Quest has shown, especially the new one for the price as well, that you can play these big VR games like Super Hot and Beat Saber and Star Wars Immortal on the wireless thing with nothing attached, but then attaching it to a PC turns it into a bona fide VR headset. And I don't know how that works with PlayStation 5. I think that would need a lot of ready-made software and things to speak to each other for that to happen. But I think if need be, I would be fine with it, just with needing the PS5 as long as it is wireless to use. But yeah, it would be cool to see them sort of turn it into its own thing, maybe even bring out a more expensive version that allows you to play it without the console. But yeah, I think the main focus should be getting it to run games at very, very high fidelity, because I think that's, Half-Life Alyx has proved that that's what people really love. And I think the best experiences I've had with VR have been games like Resident Evil 7, where I'm still playing it with a controller. It's just it's basically like the VR is your monitor.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing about VR. And I know Half-Life Alyx is different to that, but I think as soon as this happens, I think it will propel VR into a lot more popularity. I think it's still quite obscure at the moment. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to seeing something nonetheless.
You touched on another thought I had was hoping that Sony really focuses on using their IP to try and, make it work for VR and try and sell it as give people a reason to jump into VR and make something that's built from the ground up, but using those IP. So same way that Valve used Half-Life, but built from the ground up for Half-Life Alyx as a way to kind of push VR in general, but also to just to sell their devices, the Index and whatnot. But it was built from the ground up using that well-known franchise. So I wonder if Sony should try that with, say, Uncharted or just another like well-known like God of War, use those IPs, but like built it actually from the ground up, not just try and tackle it onto a VR experience and make it a legit game as having some kind of just an actual VR juggernaut reason why you need to buy a PSVR, because it's this experience built for VR itself with the PlayStation IP.
I think that would be cool to use these established IPs. I think it would have to be an IP that isn't expecting a sequel. So I think it worked with Half-Life because everyone had just considered the series dead. So it was just in a way, it was kind of like a reboot or whatever. But I think, like games like God of War, they're expecting sequels in a certain way. I think for them to make, like the third God of War VR game would, not work. But I think it would work if they used a IP that hasn't been around for a while, like Uncharted or something. But I think it would even work with games like God of War if it was still a third-person action game. Just you played it in VR and you could, you had a bigger field of view because, you had the headset on and there was, more depth perception. And because there was the Astrobot Rescue Mission game on VR. I don't know if you played it. And that's a third-person platformer. And running around in third person and jumping on platforms whilst being able to look around the environment is really great. And I think games need controllers to a lot of the time, especially action games, because there's a certain complexity that you can only get by having a controller with lots of buttons. I think a lot of complexity goes when you have to physically do the things. I can't move and act like Kratos can, but I can when I have a controller. So I think that there's a certain line you have to tether with VR as well.
Very true, very true. Yeah, it's interesting, and I just want to hear what their plans are. I know that the PSVR original does work with PS5. It has a little port for it, but you're right where they're not really focusing on promotion for that. It's just like everything does transfer over. It works, but there's no news on is the PS5 using any more of its power to like upgrade these editions, or it's just playing the stock model of the game. There really isn't any focus there, but maybe we'll see something soon. Speaking of announcement we will get soon, so this is Dragon Age 4 confirmed for Game Awards 2020. This is Liam Croft of pushsquare.com. Off the back of major departures at BioWare, the developer will debut a special look at Dragon Age 4 during the Game Awards on Thursday. That's all we have to go on right now, besides the image featured in the tweet below. But we pray to God this isn't another concept art presentation. The studio needs to instill a bit of confidence back in its diehard RPG community. Callum, you're just going through the Dragon Age series right now, so how do you feel about them showing off hopefully some gameplay? I feel like it's about time to see some gameplay now of this game.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I'm loving Inquisition. I think it's a really, really great game, and I know it has its sort of critics, and even though it did win Game of the Year at the Game Awards as well, I think a lot of people just didn't feel like it was, the saving grace after 2, which did bomb quite badly. I think they do have a lot to prove. I think for me, they need to prove that they can develop on Inquisition and smooth it out where it needs it, but really take the things that they clearly know are the best parts out of it and really enhance them more, because I think Inquisition takes a lot from Origins that made Origins so good, and that's a really pleasing sign. But I do think that there's still a lot of things that maybe they're a little bit tone deaf about. So I'm really, really excited to see what's coming, and I'm hoping there's no spoilers for Inquisition, because I do hear that it's following on from Inquisition as well. So hopefully I won't get too spoiled.
Yeah, that's true. For them to the trailer or the next gameplay they show off, for it to just like show the Spares character dying, where you're like, well, I'm still in it, guys. Yeah. Even though this game is like 5 years old, 7 years old now.
Yeah.
So, Callum, we do have some news on BioWare. Not great news, or it's questionable. It seems a bit weird, but we have veteran BioWare employees Casey Hudson and Mark Dara have announced that they're retiring from the company. This is also from pushsquare.com. This is actually the second time that Hudson has left BioWare. After spearheading the Mass Effect trilogy, his first departure came in 2014, but he returned to the studio in 2017, having spent a few years elsewhere. He was brought back in order to help shape the ill-fated Anthem before its launch in 2019. Meanwhile, Dara has played a long and substantial role in producing the Dragon Age series. A new Dragon Age game, often referred to as Dragon Age 4, is in development right now, and Dara was the project's executive producer. In a blog post, Dara writes, "I know that Dragon Age won't just survive without me, it will thrive. Dragon Age will be in good hands." Callum, is this bad news for Dragon Age 4 for BioWare in general?
I don't think so. I mean, not that Casey Hudson and Mark Barrett aren't, or Mark Darrett aren't big names at the company. I think, it's a big company. There's going to be lots and lots of talented people there. There'll be people to fill their shoes, and they'll go on to obviously do something that they want to do in their career. And I don't think there's any reason to worry. I think it's kind of, I see a lot of people saying like, oh no, Dragon Age is doomed. I think that's like, it's kind of disrespectful to the people who are still working on it and the people who now will be filling these roles, because as much as I'm constantly worried about BioWare because they're owned by EA, there's a lot worse things to worry about than than people leaving to work on something else, or than that, because EA's history with Anthem and Dragon Age 2, which I found out after I played it, was forced to be released in 1 year. It's there's a lot worse things to worry about than people leaving and moving on. That's what happens in especially this industry. It's a fast moving thing, and I'm sure these guys are likely doing it for the betterment of their career.
Yeah, it's very true. You bring up a good point where there's so many people working on this game, and it's kind of a slap in the face to be like, well, the game said. It's like it's not just these two people who are cranking the gears behind the scenes, and they have before they go into actual production with the stuff, they create that vision and the plan ahead, so somebody else can take it over and have the same drive and the same desire to create the same product, and it can still work. I guess it's just bad optics with BioWare. Seeing the headline that these two veterans are leaving, it just doesn't look good on paper, but really there's just more to it. But I'm hoping that things are good and it's not for any other reasons that they're leaving, and that it's not, maybe there's so much, you mentioned EA as just kind of like these evil overlords. I wonder if that stress can get too daunting where I imagine they're halting what you can do and forcing you to implement ideas and these various techniques that you don't want to do, or focus on like online only, that kind of stuff, because EA sucks. But so I wonder if that just kind of can drain the soul out of these people working to where they just leave because of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll probably never know, but I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are chuffed to be out of there, because some of the horror stories you hear with EA it's really sad, and especially for a series like Dragon Age, that despite the fact that I am really enjoying Inquisition and it is clearly a massive game which had a lot of effort go into it, the story behind what happened with Dragon Age 2 and Anthem and all these games that are rushed just so that they can make more money, it's just so depressing when you know how much effort is going in behind the scenes, and how much these games mean to their fans as well.
Yep, we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see what they are able to, if they have to change anything, or how the game functions, if it's still just all full steam ahead. We'll see what happens with Dragon Age 4 and BioWare in general. And then I'm also hoping we get some actual gameplay of Dragon Age 4 at the Game Awards. It seems like it's heading that direction, if not a full-blown trailer, because the last couple Game Awards, I know the last one we got some concept art, I want to say, or maybe like a very short teaser.
Yeah, like an in-engine tech demo or something.
Yeah, so by now we should see something meaty. So yeah, our next one here, Callum, is I know you've been very eagerly anticipating this. This is Kratos in Fortnite. How do you feel about the God of War now in Fortnite doing the floss dance and all that stuff?
It's unfortunate, but is what it is, and it's going to get the fact that Kratos is on Xbox and PC now is a good move by PlayStation. Gets a lot of eyes on it, and this could be a sign that we're going to see some God of War at the Game Awards for sure as well. But seeing him dance and that's just because of the game he's been put in. But it's not. It's kind of jarring to see, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's if you step back, it's just good to see. Now PlayStation has this direct relationship with with Epic, and I know they invested a bunch of money in the past couple months in their company too. So it's good to see that they're at least comfortable with their characters being on other platforms, because they could have made it, I guess it's possible they could have made this stuff exclusive to PlayStation somehow, but they're allowing this to be, across the board. I know you do unlock, so there's like a gold version of Kratos' armor that you only get on PlayStation, but otherwise the character is still on every platform.
Yeah.
So it's just a good sign that PlayStation is, a bit more comfortable, like compared to what they used to be. I know even going back years before with Fortnite, the PlayStation had issues just allowing their version of the game to be like cross-compatible or cross-platform, where you couldn't play with other users. So the fact that now we're in this future where you have Kratos on Xbox basically is pretty nuts. So it's just hopefully gives me hope that PlayStation is improving.
And surely this is a sign that we're going to see some God of War at the Game Awards, because this has got everyone talking about Kratos again. If there was now to be a God, and we got all the kids and people playing Xbox who maybe don't know much about God of War, but they are now seeing Kratos all the time. And then if there is a new trailer on Thursday, that is going to turn so many heads that maybe wouldn't have turned otherwise. So hopefully that's what it means, and I'm not looking into it too much, but I'd definitely like to see some God of War that isn't, or some Kratos that isn't from Fortnite on Thursday.
Or what if they announce for God of War Ragnarok, they're just using that same model from Fortnite, and it's all just visually Fortnite style. You mentioned hoping to see this. I think that's a good bet. It's a safe bet for seeing God of War at the Game Awards, especially if they do expect this game to come out in 2021, which I still find insane. But if they do, now's the time to promote it, because this is the last big industry event, because we don't have E3 anymore. Even if we do, that's still in June, and that would be like 5 months until that game would come out. So it's like you got to start promoting this now. So I think it's safe to assume we're going to see it there.
Yeah. What would you like to see at the Game Awards?
I have some theories on what we'll see. So one of them I think is God of War, if they do plan on getting this game out this year.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote some down here that I am stalling while I grab. Here we go. So I'm thinking, the last Game Awards, I want to say it was the last one, maybe the one before that, we got to see the story trailer for Zelda Breath of the Wild. I want to say for the sequel, rather. I'm thinking we see some gameplay at this Game Awards. I feel like it's been 2 years. I think it's roughly been 2 years. I
actually forgot that was even coming.
Yeah, and the Switch doesn't have a whole lot on the docket. So for 2021, they should start promoting this. I'm thinking that. We just talked about BioWare. Do we see an Anthem 2.0 update? I know they're working on that rework of the engine and of the game itself. Is it too early to start teasing what that game's going to look like? Beyond that, I'm also hopeful that we see a multiplayer tease for Last of Us 2. I think there's stuff leaning towards that direction, or at least like a next-gen version announced there at the Game Awards. How do you feel about some of these things I'm throwing at you?
Yeah, I think they all sound pretty good calls. I think I'd definitely like to see Last of Us multiplayer. I think it'd be good timing. Obviously, God of War, like we were just saying. I think that the Fortnite thing is pretty much, I'd say, like 90% proof that we probably will see something. But I'd also like to see some Final Fantasy 16 as well, because I think that's been, I've seen that advertised quite heavily recently in like really small little website adverts and things like that, which I don't really understand where this has come from. And I mean, the game looks really great, in terms of where everyone thought it was. So I'm hoping that we get a release date for that, whether or not it will stick to that. But yeah, I just want to see some more gameplay and maybe a release date, and because I'm very, very excited for that one as well. But and also obviously I'd like to see Resistance. That'd be nice, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, always. That's what I wonder about the Game Awards coming up, is that how much will Sony use that as a platform to promote their stuff coming up for next year? Because it is a big industry event. It's one of the last big ones, and as we move into 2021, this is where you want to promote, that stuff. And so Sony will have their own direct streams like they've done before. But it's been talked about already that those streams get millions of views, but you can't it's not going to match the eyes that are on the Game Awards. So it's just like a huge, cross pop culture event. So now's where you want to promote as much as you can. So I wonder just how much they're actually going to show off. I'm also wondering with Kojima's connection with Jeff Keighley, they've had this long-standing relationship in with him being like, I want to say they presented with a Developer of the Year, or it was some kind of like Lifetime Achievement Award for Kojima there. They showed off Death Stranding for the first time. For the first time there. It also, the last Metal Gear was teased the first time there. Do we get to see, is it too early to see their next tease for their next game? I feel like they like to tease things a bit early on. Do we get a crazy batshit story trailer there, or do they wait longer for that?
Yeah, maybe. I think that could be definitely on the cards, and I think you've also got to look at the nominees as well. I think Last of Us 2 is obviously going to clean up, whether we like it or not, and I think that would be, it'd be foolish for them to not announce something about Last of Us 2, whether it's a patch coming in that's going to unlock the frame rate, or whether it's multiplayer, and I think that's why I'm also anticipating some Final Fantasy 16 news, because Final Fantasy 7 I'm sure will win some awards, hopefully, and again that would tie in great with the Final Fantasy announcement. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. It's the first sort of is it the first like proper event we've really had, like E3 I suppose, if we're clutching at straws, but the first, like you said, like cross-pollinated event that's we're going to get big announcements from, because everything else has been shut down because of COVID. I mean, I know we had a sort of Gamescom digital thing where some things were announced, but this is the proper awards, and it's going to be a really, I think this year, like you said as well, there's going to be so many eyes on it, because it is kind of on its own, because of COVID. It is the only thing that's still going ahead, and I think it's going to be a really, really big event this year, probably bigger than any of the others.
I think you're exactly right. Yeah, this is really the last of these events that reach across to all the different platforms and get them to come together to announce stuff. And so the last thing was E3. Even E3, they still have their segmented, days where they would talk about stuff. So I think this is it. And in the past couple of years, they've been doing more stuff like that. Like the last Game Awards, we got the Xbox Series X reveal for the first time. So I think they're going to, that level of announcement kind of stuff is what we expect to see now going forward.
Yeah.
Nice. You know what I am also wondering is there's that secret Sony San Diego studio that keeps being talked about, that they're maybe taking over the Uncharted franchise. Do we see that thing teased here? Does Sony wait to have their own event for that? I wonder if it's too early, but that's in the back of my mind, hoping to see some kind of Uncharted announcement there.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, well, this is, I might be incorrect, but I think this is the first event where the next gen consoles have been released and been out. So, it's probably not too crazy to expect some big announcements, some big games, because I'm sure that a lot of these games that we're still waiting to hear about, they haven't announced because maybe they've been waiting for next gen to come out, and then they can announce it or something. So hopefully, we'll get some nice juicy things to get excited for.
Yes, same here. I can't wait. So that is, this Thursday coming up. So we got last one here, Callum, is Sony says there's news to come in response to Microsoft Game Pass. This is also one of my theories. Maybe we'll get some news at the Game Awards for this too. But this is Armina Khan at PlayStationLifestyle.net. Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan has said that the company's response to Microsoft's popular Game Pass will come in due course, but not right away. In an interview with TASS, Russian news agency, Ryan was specifically asked how Sony will respond to Game Pass, to which he said, "There is actually news to come, but just not today. We have PlayStation Now, which is our subscription service, and that is available in a number of markets." Back in September, Ryan said that a subscription model akin to Game Pass isn't sustainable, and suggested that Sony has no plans to go down that route. Speaking to games industry, Ryan explained that games are expensive to develop, and it doesn't make sense to offer them as part of a subscription service. He added that such a model might work for other companies, but it doesn't align with Sony's vision. In light of that stance, it'll be interesting to see how Sony will respond to Game Pass. So maybe we see some Game Pass news, maybe we don't. I'm also wondering, is their version of Game Pass just all the original, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, 3, etc., all those games bundled together, sort of like how Nintendo has that on Switch with all their like NES, Super Nintendo games are part of this online subscription model that you get all of them or most access to them. Maybe they switch it up there, but what do you think their response to the Game Pass would be?
Um, Honestly, I mean, I'm someone who's been really vocal about how much I love Game Pass, and I mean, I use it on PC, so I get a kind of worse version of it, but it's still, great. But I think the longer an Xbox exclusive game that can, come to Game Pass the day it's released, the longer that doesn't happen, which has been a while now, the more PS Now seems just as enticing as Xbox Game Pass does to me because PS Now I was looking at it the other day, and the library has actually gotten so much better. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn's just been added to it, and there's all these brilliant games that you can download. It's not even the PS3 list that is the best part about it, even though there are some good games on there. I think the longer that there are none of these day one games on Game Pass, the more PS Now seems just as attractive as it. I think the Game Pass obviously does still have an edge because of the day one game things, but I don't think Sony need to do that much more with PS Now to not match it necessarily, but to really compete with it. Because I personally think it is already competing with it quite well. I mean, I have both, and I probably use PlayStation Now more than Xbox Game Pass overall. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it changed and made better, of course, but I don't think it needs. I don't think it needs that much more work done to it, to be honest. But it's nice to know that there is clearly something in the sort of in the works for it, and there's still that really weird rumor that went around when PS5s were in the hands of really early sort of reviewers and things, where there was something about PS Now that they took off and haven't put back on there, which can't be talked about. So hopefully they're related, and hopefully it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's interesting where they are fighting different battles. With Xbox, they needed to provide something like this, and they have their first party studios that have that day one release. And with Sony, all their studios are such juggernauts with their releases where they don't need to do that, and it wouldn't be financially beneficial for them to just drop the next Uncharted straight onto their version of Game Pass. It'd be nuts. Yeah. So I think it's just a different route that they are taking. It's just a matter of what did they bundle then, or do they just focus on PS Now being the future? And I feel like it wouldn't hurt to throw all those classic PlayStation games on there as part of the service, just to kind of beef that up and say, hey, there's just so many games here. You don't get these super duper new games that coming out, but you get the also the juggernaut games of the PS4. You get all that full catalog, and maybe we do throw you a bone and throw you a big game every once in a while. But it's just like different battles that they're fighting. Thumbs up from Cal.
Sorry, this my dad was telling me he's going for a walk.
Oh, gotcha. Make sure he's got his pepper spray ready.
Yeah, right. He's got a big woolly hat on. It is freezing down here as well.
Oh, really?
It's same. I suppose it's probably quite cold over because you're sort of North America, aren't you?
Yeah, Northwest, and we're getting basically into winter now, and it's pretty cold.
Yeah, very very cold over here. But yeah, sorry, carry on. Yeah, my dad distracted me.
No, that's good. I mean, it's good that he's walking out there. I mean, I'm hunkering down inside. I'm not walking because it's so cold, but I like that your dad's like, nope, I'm gonna go outside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the only thing we can do now as well with lockdown, and that is either sitting here on my computer all day or go for a walk. And obviously I haven't been able to walk recently because of my bloody leg, but that's all right. I've got a PS5 coming, don't need to walk.
You mentioned your dad had a big Willy hat on. What is that?
A woolly hat. So like I don't know. Do you guys know the word woolly? Like
like a really thick material kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's like a sheep wool kind of thing. So like it's woolly.
Gotcha.
It's like really soft and yeah. So like it's just woolly like a sheep, I suppose.
I see. I was thinking big Willy hat, and I was like, what is that? Is that a cool
no, that means something completely different over here. A big Willy.
I'm gonna start googling big Willy hats and see what pops up here. But
yeah, you might not want to Google big Willy hats.
I don't know. I thought it was a cool UK secret thing. Well, Cal, that's it. That's all I got for this week. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
On Twitter at Bear Munro is probably the best place to find me.
Awesome. And you can keep up with the show as well on Twitter at Plastic Art Pod. That is it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor.
Okay, let's go.